Welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about something fun. We're going to talk about pets and we're going to build conversation skills related to that. Before which, welcome to Capshine. I'm Ajeeth Peo Francis and I am part of Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learn it together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning English is easy, quick, fun, affordable, and effective. And we promise a brand new you in 6 months or less. So, what can you talk about when it comes to pets? Let's talk about that in this video. Before which, what we're going to cover is we're going to look at some common phrases related to pets. We're also going to look at some common vocabulary. We're also going to see some conversation exchanges and structures we can follow when talking about pets. What is the grammar to use and how to use these phrases to have conversations about pets or your pets. Let's start. Some common pets. This you'll be able to relate to, right? These are the kind of pets we usually have. We have fish, we have dogs, we have cats, we have birds, rabbits, chicken, hamsters, and guinea pigs. So hamsters are those are guinea pigs. Hamsters are smaller. They look like little rodents or little rats. They look like a smaller version of these hamsters and guinea pigs. If you've seen these little creatures running in a wheel, like a small little hamster wheel, those are hamsters. So let's look at this. A few words and phrases that would come in handy while elaborating on your pets. Here are some items that you should recognize when talking about pets. So you could ask people or talk about the breed of your pet. You could talk about how you train your pets. Did you use treats to train your pet, or did you train your pet with other kinds of methods? Is your pet well trained? Is your pet potty trained, which means does it go do its business outside? You may also talk about what you feed your pet. What feed you use for your pet? Do you feed your pet organic home cooked food? Do you buy a particular kind of feed when it comes to things like guinea pigs and fish? Is there a particular kind of feed that you use? You could also talk about the equipment that you use for your pet. So, for example, if you have an aquarium, if you have a fish tank, what kind of pumps do you use? What kind of filters do you use? If you have a guinea pig, other kinds of hydration mechanisms that you use. Or if there are birds, any equipment that you use for them. You could talk about exercise. What kind of exercise do they get? Do they get mental stimulation? Do they get to jog? Do they get to walk? Do they get to run around? What kind of exercise they get? You could talk about their favorite pet, the kind of experiences they've had with the vet and the veterinarian. So when you say, I had to take him to the vet or take my pet to the vet, you're talking about the doctor that you have to take your dog to or cat to, whatever your pet is. Another word for getting your pet to a clinic is to take it for a checkup, right? A checkup. You can talk about whether your pets have friends. Does it have dog friends? Does it have other animal friends? Some pets that are furry, vocabulary that we use is shedding. When they shed their skin or shed their fur, it's called shedding. Labradors or golden retrievers are known to shed quite a bit. Cats, not so much. There are some animals that do shed quite a bit. Which takes me to fur. Does your pet have fur? How is the fur? Is it short? Is it thick? Is it voluminous? There are many words to describe how a fur is. Do you play with your pet? Is your pet playful? Does it like to play? How does it play? All these are also conversation points you could have. Does your pet wear a collar? How does the collar look? Did you choose your collar for a specific reason? And when you train your pets, do you give it treats? Do you give your pet treats after its food? Different conversation points that can be had. What is your grooming schedule like? Do you groom your pet every day? As in, you brush its hair or give it, cut its nails, brush its teeth, whatever it may be. This is part of grooming, whether you help it with its hygiene. Does your pet groom itself sometimes? Certain animals can groom themselves, like cats groom themselves. What kind of diet is your pet on? Is it on a lean diet? Is it on a specific kind of diet? Is it on a protein-rich diet? Right? All these can be points of discussions, especially if you're talking to another pet lover. And of course, what kind of play that's already there. Right? What kind of things does your pet like to play with? Let's talk about the first conversation point. Do you have a pet? That's usually the first conversation you can have to start the conversation itself, or the first conversation point you can have to start the conversation. You should respond with I have and the description. So I have a cat and a dog. They both are whatever, right? They both are quite sociable, or they both are quite adorable, right? You could use an adjective of your choice. I have fish. Remember that when you're talking about fish in plural, it is still fish. Fishes is used in very rare situations. When you're talking about groups of different kinds of species of fish, you're not going to say that when you're talking about pets. I have fish. Her name is Sushi, right? She is a molly fish. So molly is a kind of breed. I have a guinea pig. He is 2 years old. He loves eating whatever it is. He loves eating tomatoes, for example. So what you want to do is try and mimic this. See if you can come up with sentences of your own using these structures. Replace the animal, replace the name of the pet, and see if you can create sentences as conversation points or responses to this conversation point. The next question is, do you have pets? Or rather, it's the same question. More ways to respond. I don't have pets. That's a reasonable answer if you really don't like pets. I don't have dogs or cats, but I have a chicken, right? Again, if you have a very rare kind of pet, if you have a lizard for a pet, if you have any other kind of pet, you could say, I don't have a common kind of pet, I have a very rare kind of pet. I'm not really an animal person. So usually if that's your conversation point, you want to be the one asking the questions, because people can't ask you anything more about your pets or what kind of pets you'd like. Let's talk about your pet and you. You could say, I love my pet so much, where you insert the name of the pet itself. My pet are my life. I love my pet like a child. Let's see how this plays out in a conversation. I love my turtle so much, right? So I love my turtle so much. I love my cats, or rather my cats are my life, to show how much you like your animals. The next thing that you could do is have conversations about pets that you could suggest. If you're talking to someone who has a pet and you want to get into having pets, then probably these questions could get the ball rolling. For example, what pet do you suggest? And a good answer for this could be, I would suggest that you try having a cat first, right? And you could give your reasons why. So insert the pet name as required. What are the benefits of having that pet? So what are the benefits of having a cat? And you could say a cat can take care of itself. It's quite loyal. It's quite fun to have. They're not very high maintenance. What are the difficulties of having that pet? And you could answer, cats tend to be very aloof. They don't like to be cuddled. They're very choosy about the food sometimes, and these could be problems. And if you don't get them neutered, they could end up having a lot of litter, a lot of kitten. How to deal with the problem? Well, get them neutered, take them to a vet, get them checked. Where do you buy the pet? And you could respond, I don't recommend that you buy pets. I would recommend that you adopt them. You can find quite a few of these pets for adoption on Facebook or any social media, right? So that's a conversation that you've just had with two people, one figuring out what they can do or how they can get into the activity of having a pet. Let's look at another conversation point. Let's talk about why you like your pet or dislike another pet. Let's go through a few of them. Again, these are conversation points you could use when discussing about pets. Let's say you love dogs. You could say, dogs are so compassionate, it's no wonder they're called man's best friend. You could also say, having a dog has made my life so much less stressful and depressing. When you're talking about why or what pet do you recommend? Buying pet fish has made my kids much more responsible because I've given them the duty to care for the fish. They're doing a great job of it. There's a slightly more elaborate response, but you get the gist. You've told them what pet you recommend and why you recommend it. Cats scratch all your furniture and are really difficult to train. So that's a response to what are some, what are some things that you don't like about this pet? In this case, a cat. So when you're talking, when you have your talk time or when you're having a discussion with someone about pets. Give your conversational partner some tips on what pets they should get. That's a great add-on to the conversation as well. So you love dogs, right? You should definitely buy one. There's a dog shelter across the street or down the street that houses the cutest dogs ever. So not only are you suggesting that they should adopt, you're also saying how they can get started with having a pet dog. You should give your kids a pet. I recommend fish because they're very easy to maintain, no hassle, nothing too difficult, right? So again, you're recommending how to start, specifically in this case of fish, and why it's a good idea to get started with it. I think you should get a small dog and not a big dog, as small dogs are easier to groom and transport. They also cost less to take care of. Again, a more logical argument to why or what kind of pet someone should choose. Before we close for the day, let's take a look at some useful vocabulary related to animals. When you describe your animal or your pet, here are some ways you can describe them as. You could say that your pet is loyal. My dog is the most loyal friend that I have. Gentle. Although he's a big dog, he is very gentle. Playful. My puppy is quite playful. Friendly. My cats are quite friendly. Or my bird is surprisingly friendly. You could also use the word adorable if something is very cute. I find these fish in my pond quite adorable. They make the silliest faces. You could also use the word obedient when it comes usually with dogs. My dog is very obedient, for example. Protective, again, some pets tend to be quite protective of the household or the master. So you could say my dog Timmy is very protective of our children. Cute, as with adorable. Feral means to be very wild and not easy to control. The cat I once had was quite feral. It would bite me at any given chance that it could get. Quiet, again, my dog is very quiet. I most times don't even know where she is. Smart, again, could describe any number of pets. Even fish can be smart, but there are certain kind of fish that can obey commands. Vicious, again, a lower form of feral. Vicious means that they are sort of violent. They will bite you if you go near, or they'll attack you somehow. Curious, cats tend to be curious. They want to know what's going on. They will put their face into things. They'll put their head into things to find out what's going on. And fearless. Some animals are fearless. They will just jump into situations without being afraid of things, right? Like I had a puppy that was very fearless. It would just put its face into fires and dunk its face into water. It was very fearless. Great, so that's the different ways to talk about your pets. I hope you found the video useful. If you haven't subscribed or downloaded the app already, make sure you go to capshine.com and download the app at the Play Store. Look for Capshine. Thanks for watching.